Hello everyone. So good to be with you. Once again, I am Charles Wells and you are watching a new edition of The Patriot Preacher. Today we are going to delve into yet another topic that is both sensitive and represents, a pretty sharp divide between conservatives and other groups. Now I would say liberals, but quite honestly, I don't believe the politicians in Washington, D.C. who are Democrats are really liberals any longer. While their loyal voters may believe they are, they have essentially morphed or become democratic socialists, and of course a socialist by any other name is still a socialist. What is the topic today, my dear friends? It is illegal immigration. Today I hope to make the case that not only is illegal immigration dangerous to the sovereignty of this nation, but is ultimately detrimental to those even who are coming here illegally. So let me get a couple of things straight right up front. This is in fact a nation of immigrants in more ways than one. I value the diversity offered up by various cultures that coexist in my country. My own grandparents immigrated here from Italy in the 1920s and became citizens in 1940. I still have a photocopy of their immigration visa, by the way. Conservatives are not against immigration, they are against illegal and uncontrolled immigration, and there is a difference. And it's amazing we have lawmakers who actually do not know that illegal immigration is a crime. We do not believe in open borders. We believe in the rule of law that makes us the nation that we are. We're also not racist. So with that out of the way, I'd like to say this. We are a sovereign nation. We have borders. And within those borders, our Constitution and the laws based upon the Constitution are supposed to be the rule of the land. And every single citizen has to abide by these agreed upon laws. Yet for some reason, people who decide to forcibly overrun our borders don't have to obey those same laws that we do. Now, if we want to be technical, illegal immigration is a misleading term. Illegal immigrants or aliens are not immigrants. They are in fact citizens of other countries who have come here without our permission. Now you may ask yourself, why is that so bad? Well, for one thing, an unfettered flow of people into our own country without any kind of controls at all overburdens our border patrol, police forces, educational institutions, social safety nets, prison systems, and the list goes on and on. Every single immigrant costs the taxpayer at least $80,000, and that figure is continually rising with all the things that Democratic lawmakers want to give them to come here. With the current catch and release mentality that we have returned to, all a person has to do is claim that they are seeking asylum. They are given a court date that of course they never attend, and then they are in. We don't even know who they are or where they are. Now, while I'm sure many are simply hardworking people that want a better life for themselves, I'm equally sure we are letting in a lot of dangerous criminals by the droves. Entering this nation is a privilege, not a right. Let me repeat that. Entering this nation is a privilege, not a right. We should be allowed to determine how many people are allowed in and who they are. For those of you who think that's racist or bigoted, I would like to remind you that the United States of America only constitutes 4.25% of the entire world's population, yet we take in fully half of the entire world's immigrants. Secondly, we are the most culturally diverse nation to have ever existed on this planet. How can the most diverse nation be considered racist? If you don't believe me, go to China. You know what you're going to find there? Chinese. In Japan, you're going to find Japanese. In Korea, you're going to find Koreans. In Russia, Russians. India, Indians. Muslim countries actively persecute anyone who is gay, Christian, women, people who do not share their faith, etc. Only in some European nations and here do you find people welcoming other folks from all over the globe. The reason people on the left side of the aisle in Washington, D.C. want as many illegal immigrants as possible is very simple. They are trying to secure their power base. They know that people vote for representatives who give them things, which is why they are being rewarded for coming here. They don't actually care about these folks, but they are simply tools. Now, our representatives in Washington could easily impede the endless tide of humanity that is coming over here by simply protecting our border, disincentivizing people from coming here, and also by actively pursuing those who will hire them. The truth is, neither Republicans or Democrats want to really address the problem, since Democrats are in it for the votes and Republicans are afraid to be called racist, and a lot of them are in it for the cheap labor. You know, I've been in construction for more than 20 years. In South Central Texas, where I am, you can't even find a roofing crew, a framing crew, a tiling crew, or a masonry crew who isn't manned almost entirely by illegal immigrants because they can be paid less. And ultimately, by incentivizing people to come here, we are providing cartels who usher these folks into our country a multi-billion-dollar business. And in addition to the business we provide them, they actively take advantage of these people who come here. These folks are being murdered, left to die, sexually assaulted, including children, and in every other way taken advantage of. You know, if I, as an American, wanted to retire in another country, I couldn't just go any place I wanted. For example, in Japan, only 1.7% of the population are foreigners. They have a point system there. Immigrants earn points based upon their academic backgrounds and research and business experience. Why? Because they only want people coming into their country who have something to offer. In Australia, people without visas are considered unlawful, including children. Migrant children, especially asylum seekers, have been detained in immigration detention centers for months or even years there. Denmark offers immigrants cash incentives to leave their country if they cannot assimilate or adjust to the Danish culture. Many countries, including South American countries, require people wanting to immigrate into their country to have proof of income. Why? Because they don't want immigrants to become instant financial burdens on their nations the moment they arrive. So why is it that people who live here as citizens see this nation as such racist and a horrible place to live just because we want to have a handle on how many people come here and to know who they are? Quite simply because they have been brainwashed and do not have any frame of reference or idea of how privileged they are to live in the most gracious and giving nation to have ever existed on this planet. Americans give 3.5 times more money than the French, 7 times more money than Germans, and 14 times more money than Italians. I will use an analogy to help support my thought process. I own a home. My home has boundaries on it. I will call it, for the sake of the explanation of this argument, the United States of Wales. Now, the people who live in this house are family members and they are citizens of the United States of Wales. And as such, they follow the rules of the house and have the freedom to come and go as they please. Now, let's say someone really likes the United States of Wales and they want to come live here and be a part of our family. Then I would see if there's enough room in the house and if they are the kind of people we'd like to join our family. And we would say, hey, if you do A, B, C, and D, then you can join our family. So they do A, B, C, and D. Then we welcome them into our home as our adopted brothers and sisters, and now they have all the same privileges as the original family members of the house. These folks are equivalent to our naturalized citizens. Once they have jumped through all the legal hoops to be able to live here, they can become our adopted family and they're treated the same as our natural family and accepted with open arms. Then there are people who are allowed to visit the United States for a time with the agreement that they are only here to stay for a certain time period and then they have to leave and go back to their own home. They also have to abide by the rules and then when it's time to go, they leave. This represents people who vacation in our country and people who come here on temporary work visas or educational visas. And finally, there are the people who pick your lock, you find them laying on your couch, eating your food, and you are not allowed to make them leave. These are the people who are here illegal. Folks, we have a right to enforce our own laws. People who come here without our permission should not have more rights than our citizens, and it is a slap in the face to legitimate immigrants who have come here legally and did all the things we asked of them. We have sanctuary cities that not only protect illegal immigrants, but protect illegal immigrants who are known to be violent criminals. Look, I'm as compassionate as a person as you'll find in anyone. I have helped many people throughout my life. But there are limits to everything. You can say, well, they're just trying to make a better lives for themselves. Aren't we all? The difference is that most of us understand that we don't have the right to acquire by illegal means those things that we find difficult to acquire legally. And we certainly don't have the right to do it in a foreign country. Mexico doesn't allow foreigners to enter their country illegally and break their laws. Isn't immigration control racist? No. You have a right to determine who's going to come into your house, and we have a right to determine who's going to come into our nation. This is just another way of playing the race card by people who have no other cards to play. Immigration control is the worldwide status quo. If you don't believe that, we can't even get the United Emirates to accept Afghani refugees without assurances from our State Department that they won't stay there when we know that these people are being left behind, are going to be subjugated, tortured, and slaughtered by the Taliban. But isn't it wrong to break up families? Families of American citizens are broken up all the time whenever a criminal goes to prison or an American soldier goes off to war. Nobody has forced anyone to come here. They are in fact making the decision to break up their own families. But aren't they people too? They are people and we must treat them humanely. Yes and yes, but let's not pretend like they're victims who were dragged here kicking and screaming against their will. Nothing could be further from the truth. They came here of their own free will and for their own benefit. They broke the law to do it. People should not be rewarded for breaking laws and committing crimes. Sending them home is the right thing to do. It has nothing draconian, evil, or racist about it. So do I propose rounding up people who are here illegally? No. You don't have to do that. If you take away all the incentives for them to come here, they will leave. No jobs, no housing assistance, no taxpayer finance services or benefits. What we are creating here is a permanent second-class citizens of people. Additionally, we are allowing folks here who have no allegiance to this country whatsoever to be here. This is essential. If someone is allowed to come here, they should be Americans first and foremost. That's not to say that they should have to give up their roots, but it is absolutely necessary that the people who come here see themselves as part of the American culture. Teddy Roosevelt said it best back in 1907. In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else, for it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but also something else isn't American at all. We have room but for one flag, the American flag. We have room but for one language here, and that's the English language. And we have room but for one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people. I don't know about you, but I am tired of a hyphenated American. We are all Americans. We are all one big family, even if it's a dysfunctional one at times. Well, folks, my time is about up for this segment. As usual, I welcome comments to the contrary to my opinions that I have stated. If you like our discussion, please take the time to comment below and become a subscriber. Until then, I am Charles Wells, and you have been listening to another edition of The Patriot Preacher. Goodbye, and God bless.